Part 1. In the seedy underbelly of Chicago's quiet neighborhoods, a case emerged that would challenge the very instincts of the city's top detectives. At first glance, the scene suggested a tragic suicide. A renowned editor, Benjamin Carter, was discovered hanging in his modest apartment. The evidence, at first blush, seemed damningly ordinary. A neatly penned note, a room in disarray hinting at despair, and the heartbreaking testimony of his distraught brother, Michael Carter, who had found him in that final, suspended moment. Yet as investigators began their routine examination, an unsettling detail crept into the story like a whispered confession in the dark. The autopsy report was anything but straightforward. Instead of the expected suffocation typical of a self-inflicted hanging, Benjamin's neck bore a fatal fracture, a break so violent and irregular that it could not have been caused by the short rope or the low ceilings of his confined apartment. Suddenly, the neatly arranged puzzle began to crumble. The meticulously staged scene was not the result of a troubled mind succumbing to inner demons, but rather a carefully orchestrated act meant to disguise murder as suicide. Whispers of deception rippled through the corridors of the police station as seasoned detectives pored over the evidence with a mixture of disbelief and determination. How could a rope, clearly too short for its intended purpose, be the instrument of fatal harm? The revelation sent shock waves through the investigative team, prompting them to set aside conventional expectations and reassemble the scene piece by piece. Amid the chaos of conflicting evidence, one clue stood out as disturbingly incongruent with the suicide narrative. A delicate woman's bracelet, tucked away under a battered sofa. More than a mere accessory, that bracelet hinted at the presence of someone whose life was entangled with Benjamin's in ways that had been carefully obscured by time and secrecy. As the investigators delved deeper, the once straightforward case morphed into a labyrinth of hidden relationships and dangerous betrayals. Rumors began to circulate about Denise Harper, a seductive yet enigmatic figure who had been intimately linked to Benjamin. Her connection to the victim, however, was not simple or public. Could it be that beneath the polished veneer of their clandestine affair lay a motive dark enough to incite murder? And what of Samuel Harper, her longtime partner, whose own life had been shadowed by whispered accusations and mysterious absences? In the initial moments of the investigation, every detail, from the precise positioning of the noose to the stray lock of hair on the sofa, seemed insignificant. Yet in the world of high-stakes crime, even the most trivial clue can unravel entire alibis and expose the raw nerve of deceit. As the night deepened and the city slumbered, the investigators vowed to peel back every layer of this deceptive facade. Was Benjamin Carter's death a cruel act of jealousy, a twisted love triangle spiraling out of control, or something far more sinister lurking behind a web of meticulously crafted lies? The case was about to plunge into depths that none could foresee, leaving behind more questions than answers, a puzzle designed to haunt the minds of everyone involved. Part 2. As the investigation pressed on, the layers of deception only multiplied, drawing investigators deeper into a tangled web of secrets and lies. Detective Marcus Donovan, known for his unorthodox methods and an uncanny knack for uncovering buried truths, assumed a daring undercover role. Posing as a local handyman, he began his quest by visiting the apartments of every woman whose name had surfaced in Benjamin Carter's secret notebook. Each encounter was a delicate dance between casual conversation and subtle probing, with Marcus carefully gathering seemingly trivial details, a misplaced object here, a half-remembered conversation there, that might later solidify the connection between each woman and the unfolding mystery. In one modest living room adorned with relics of a once vibrant life, Marcus met Lillian Matthews, a woman whose guarded eyes hinted at a life steeped in regret and caution. Though her name did not immediately evoke suspicion, a casual glance at her delicate bracelet, a replica of the one found beneath the sofa in Benjamin's apartment, triggered a small but persistent alarm in his mind. The bracelet, he realized, was more than an ornament. It was a silent witness to a clandestine liaison and a crucial piece in a puzzle that refused to yield its secrets easily. Lillian's alibi was crafted with the precision of someone deeply entrenched in a double life, yet the overlap with Benjamin's last hours was too coincidental to ignore. Meanwhile, whispers from other quarters began to hint at an undercurrent of jealousy and betrayal. Rumors suggested that Lillian was not simply an innocent bystander in an illicit relationship, but rather engaged in a fraught connection with another, a roommate whose name had long been murmured in the corridors of dubious domestic arrangements. This new character, Cynthia Bryant, emerged as a shadowy figure whose motives were as complex as the intricate patterns on the rug in Benjamin's apartment. Cynthia had been living with Lillian, and according to some of the testimonies Marcus had painstakingly collected, a bitter realization of Lillian's involvement with Benjamin might have ignited something far more destructive than mere heartbreak. Marcus pieced together fragments of information with the precision of a seasoned craftsman. Hidden conversations, cryptic texts, and sporadic sightings all converged to paint a picture that was both disturbing and captivating. The forensic evidence, the broken neck, the unusual placement of the rope, the stray lock of hair, merged with these personal accounts to suggest that this was no straightforward case of self-inflicted despair. Instead, it pointed to a meticulously staged scenario, one designed to mislead and confound even the most astute observers. The deeper Marcus delved, the more it became apparent that Benjamin Carter's demise was the tragic climax of a love triangle marred by betrayal and stewing resentment. With every interview, every quiet observation in a poorly lit corridor or a hastily packed apartment, the investigation took on a life of its own. The clues, though individually insignificant, began converging into a narrative as compelling as it was unsettling. Was it possible that Cynthia, driven by the fierce sting of jealousy, had uncovered the truth about Lillian's secret tryst and responded in a fit of uncontrolled rage? And if so, what of Lillian's own involvement? Was she an accomplice, a pawn, or an unwilling participant caught in a spiraling vortex of passion and deceit? Each question deepened the mystery, ensuring that the truth remained tantalizingly out of reach. In the darkened corridors of Chicago's shadowed nights, the investigation began to converge on a truth that was as elusive as it was damning. Detective Marcus Donovan, having unearthed compelling connections linking Cynthia Bryant to the tragic fate of Benjamin Carter, returned to the crime scene with a renewed determination. Every inch of the apartment, from the low ceilings to the carefully positioned rope, whispered secrets of a struggle far removed from heartfelt despair. Forensic experts revisiting the unconventional evidence, a fractured neck inconsistent with the mechanics of a typical hanging, reinforced the notion that a violent confrontation had been artfully concealed beneath layers of deceit. Amid the ambient hum of the city, Marcus reassembled the fragments of shattered alibis and contradictory testimonies with the precision of a masterful detective, gradually painting a portrait of a crime steeped in passion and jealousy. With a mind as restless as the urban sprawl around him, Marcus retraced the cryptic footsteps of those involved, discovering that the seemingly innocent detail of a missing bracelet was in fact the linchpin of the case. A series of clandestine phone calls, hurried whispers in smoky diners, and hastily scribbled notes on napkins at midnight painted a vivid picture of a relationship teetering on the brink of ruin. In one particularly tense conversation with a nervous informant, whispers of Cynthia's resentment and an explosive discovery of Lillian's betrayal emerged, a revelation that could only be explained by an outburst of uncontrollable fury. As the detective gathered evidence pointing to Cynthia's calculated motive, it became evident that what had initially appeared to be a simple matter of unrequited passion had spiraled into a deadly game of cat and mouse. Every scrap of evidence, every disputed detail in the timeline, reinforced the idea that the editor's death was not self-inflicted, but a desperate bid to escape the consequences of forbidden liaisons. The investigation reached a fevered pitch when newer forensic techniques revealed a trace of unconventional DNA on a broken piece of a handkerchief found tucked behind the sofa, a critical link that cast a long shadow of suspicion over Cynthia. In a city where secrets festered beneath every streetlight, this revelation turned the entire case on its head. The once neatly staged tableau of a suicide now bore the unmistakable hallmarks of premeditated murder, executed with chilling precision. Throughout long nights and early mornings, as Marcus pored over case files and cross-referenced every minute detail, the truth began to whisper its full, terrifying cadence. In the intricate dance between love and hatred, Between appearance and reality, the lines had blurred beyond recognition. As the case drew to a close and pieces of the broken puzzle were slowly reassembled into a coherent picture, the city held its breath. Was it really possible that a crime motivated solely by possessiveness and jealousy could be so meticulously designed, obscuring the true nature of a violent act? And yet, in the charged silence of the interrogation room, Cynthia's evasive responses and the overwhelming forensic evidence left little room for doubt. In this labyrinth of twisted emotions and shattered lives, every answer begot new questions. Every solved mystery revealed another layer of unfathomable intrigue. The case of Benjamin Carter's death stood as a stark reminder that in the world of high-stakes love and betrayal, truth is often the most elusive prize. As the camera pans away into the smoky depths of Chicago's midnight streets, one is left pondering. In a city where every secret has a price, could you ever really trust the face that smiles in the dark?